Hey folks, Ted Bost here. I'm a licensed therapist in Idaho and Utah. Today I'm going to talk to you about the number one skill in identifying and avoiding power struggles with your kids. Okay, so what's a power struggle? Power struggle is when you're in this back and forth kind of debate, argument, or having to just explain over and over again to your kids why you're doing something or why you need them to do something. A power struggle doesn't have to be just this knockdown, drag out argument. Sometimes they're kind of this low intensity, kind of verbal sparring chess matches, way that kids test boundaries, and it's a thing that adults have to respond to intentionally. And so, the number one way to identify a power struggle with your kids is by looking for what's called a challenging question. There's two kinds of questions: information seeking question and a challenging question. An information seeking question is just a regular question. Hey, mom, what's for dinner? It's an authentic, real question. But a challenging question isn't a real question. It's kind of the setup that kids will do to push boundaries sometimes with adults. And the thing about a challenging question is that if you answer the challenging question or you even engage in the back and forth that's associated with that challenging question, you've automatically been pulled into the power struggle, and that's the whole point of the challenging question, is to engage in the power struggle. So essentially there's no way you can take the question seriously and answer it seriously, because the question isn't actually about the topic. It's about boundaries and testing limits. You'll know it's a challenging question because when your kid asks it, you might feel this kind of twinge of like, how do I answer that? Or, that's kind of funny. So it's one of those intuitive things. You have to be aware of how it makes you feel when they ask that question, and you'll think, how do I answer this? It kind of seems loaded, and that's because it is loaded. The two main strategies to deal with challenging questions: first one is just redirection or distraction. You change the subject, or you just kind of redirect the conversation into another direction that's unrelated to whatever the challenge is. And then the second thing you can do is what's called ignore the challenge but not the person. So typically kids will be feeling a little bit anxious about something. They'll ask a challenging question, and they'll get into that power struggle with their parents. And then for some weird reason, kids will kind of feel a sense of control when they engage in that. If you can ignore the challenge and not the person, and kind of give your kid whatever they're really looking for in that moment, whether it's attention or support, or maybe it's boundaries and clarity, then that's going to de-escalate their challenging questions and help them meet their needs in the moment. This stuff takes some practice. It's not like you do it one time and it gets better. And if your kid is asking these challenging questions, there might be some bigger picture practices that you can do as a parent. Maybe more consistency. It might be more follow through. Challenging questions are a symptom of kids who are looking for boundaries, looking for clarity, maybe more support from their family. So, folks, this is just a quick video. I hope it's helpful. Go to shoulderseasoncounseling.com and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Take care.